And we've got a lot of ones that I'll probably just skip over, just because, one, I've never heard of them, and two, they probably don't even exist anymore. But even if it doesn't exist and I have heard of it, I'll talk about it a little bit because I did dive into it a bit, like some searching. So without further ado, there are a lot of both active and dead miniature games out there. Again, if it's something random, I'll quickly look it up to see if it's alive or not, but more or less it's going to be going down the ring, probably with some of the most recognizable and then some that aren't. But starting off, tried and true 40k. If there's any miniature game you have played, it's probably this. Standard stuff's been around for 2+ decades. In terms of ranking it in playability, I think strong C. If I had to do it, this will do. And I see a lot of people label this as like, don't play it, it's terrible, and that's kind of not giving it the benefit of the doubt. It is a fun game. It's very fun when you do a little bit of role-playing with friends, or you're just building fun lists. The models are cool, the aspects are interesting, the factions are wonderful to build and paint, some of them are. And overall, really fun, but it is marred by very poor rules editing. And what I mean by that is some codexes are overpowered, some are underpowered, you can't do anything with them. Some units are just not even usable. Some characters are almost always used. You see them every time. It's a very back and forth. And I think that's one of its biggest handicaps from keeping it up here. But I think this will do is nice. Again, obviously I would say play better, but it is the board game I was introduced into, so it does have that little high spot for me. Moving on to Star Wars Legion, I have also played this, and to be honest, I would say it belongs in the same place. It's your Star Wars version of Warhammer. It incorporates the same like list building, units, how big the armies can be, separate models, but again, I think a spot that holds it less is the models are not that great. Like, yeesh. They're very... I think a word to say it is battle block styled. Like, comparing a simple intercessor to this, you can immediately see the different detail. Compared to another Star Wars game down the line, it's very lackluster in its model design, but it is fun. I have played it, so it's why I think I stay in it in its entirety. It would probably be up here higher, but its model design as well as sort of just rules generalization is kind of mix and match. Warpath, I have heard fun stuff about it. I will say they will belong in the not played list, but I have heard fun stuff, and their models are very cool. Stuff like that, big robots are always a cool plus for me. I think they look great, the minis are back and forth, monsters. But again, haven't really played it. It does share a couple of similarities here and there with Warhammer. More or less, I kind of see, and if you know this game, I love you, Supreme Commander, it reminds me of more than anything. At least this design of an army. This, I'll say, is the stuff of heresy, because I have not expected anything from it, nor have I seen anything from it, and I won't even go into detail. It looks ridiculous. Moving on, Horus Heresy, another Warhammer. Honestly, this. I wouldn't say gods be praised, because there are some quirky things that don't make sense, but this, I feel, is definitely superior to 40k in almost every way. The rules are tight, it's more skill-oriented, and it involves a lot more templates, which a lot of these other games that are probably going to be higher on the list do, and I really do like the template system. I don't know what it is. I like where there's a definite range. It's not like in 40k, if you have a flame weapon, if it had a template, it would follow a template arc, and that would determine what it hits. But in 40k, as long as it's within range, it's 360 degrees, and to me, that's just silly. If you were to get into a Warhammer game, I'd say do Horus Heresy over 40k, just because the rules are a bit more integral. This is definitely going in Codex Astartes approves. Infinity is great models, great rules, it's fun back and forth. Overall, great game interaction. I love the D20 system that it's used for instead of D6. It's a nice difference. And it's also interesting to where you have to roll lower than a specific number sometimes in order to secure a hit. Interesting unit action, and the whole rule of you only need 15 models I think is hilarious, considering you'll probably be collecting more. But it's another great miniature game, I think, to get into. So, immediately I'm just going to put that here, just because it looks super fun. I have heard wonderful things. The models are really interesting to build. Funny enough, the other Conquest thing, I don't see it, but for now, it's going to sit right there. I know for a fact I've heard wonderful things, and just building the models right now are very interesting. On contrast to that, I've played better. I think Kill Team is an interesting idea for 40k. It's just very awkward at times because you're so used to the large armies, which, don't get me wrong, having smaller models to play with is great, and it's a great introduction into 40k. But again, it's with some certain rule sets to where you feel that this is just bad, and sometimes if the rules just go wrong, it can actually swing into a faster loss than most 40k games. But whenever I play Kill Team, rather than playing a game, it kind of feels like running through the motions. We were just trying to see, did it hit? No. I'll move on. There's not really there's a strategy part to it, but it's more or less, it's very heavily objective played, like more so than 40k. Yeah, it's that thing where it's the skirmish, but the skirmish feels wrong. Unlike, as I was about to go into it, Shatterpoint. This is probably just a Star Wars fanboy in me coming from it. I love this system. Honestly, I think this system would be a great idea for Kill Team to sort of replicate in a sense. But I just love the multiple switching objectives, the squad-based systems that are in play, the wound system that is also nice, where it's just you can go down, come back. It's also fun to where certain units, both dark side and light side, can play into those wound caps for faster refreshing as well as objective control, which is really cool. That's why I think Shatterpoint is a wonderful miniature game in its own. A lot of people might disagree, and I'll say I can understand why you say it wouldn't be that great, which is why I don't think Marvel Crisis is that great. It comes from the same people, but I just find that interaction really fun. I think it's really cool in that sense. Sigmar! I have heard good things, and I say I would put it above 40k, just because it implores a lot of separate segment stuff. It's the same sort of pace as 40k, you know, it's the same company, obviously. Oh, interesting. Gates of Antares? I guess that's what they're, Beyond the Gates of Antares. I'm actually gonna look that up. Gates of Antares. Oh. That was not what I was expecting. Wow, they are bulky. Concept art looks great. Oh, interesting. Weird. It reminds you of like it's trying to be Tau. It's like trying to be Tau and something else. Grineer from Warhammer. That's what it reminds... Or Warhammer. Warframe. That's what it reminds me of. Well, this anyway. Oh, that's interesting. Again, never played it, but that's an interesting one to look at. Is that just Warhammer Fantasy? I'll say I have not played, but I don't know if that's Warhammer Fantasy or not. Age of Fantasy. This... It does look rather ugly. It does. That's not a lie. Song of Fire and Ice. I saw my buddy... was it... I forget his name. Mike? I don't think it's Mike. Probably Brandon. One of the guys in my hobby shop talking about Fire and Ice. I'm not a big fan of Game of Thrones. It did look similar to Conquest, but it could honestly go between This Will Do and I've played better. Steve, thank you. God, I really need to remember most of the guys' names, and it sucks that I don't. Oh, there's the other conquest. Yeah, that can go up there. Ooh, Middle Earth. I'll say I've played better. I've seen the models. I've seen a bit of the rule set. It just... no. I think it's this one. Yeah. Just kind of, eh. Sure, I know you'll be quiet without it. Some of the models do look good for their represented size, but a lot of the humans do not look good. Here, give me images. Yeah, like see that and some of the bigger units look great, and then you get to the smaller units. And also that map is just wild. That's probably an older map. But I don't know. Then you know what? It'll stay in there until eventually I'll try it. That seems like a game worth trying because again, I don't like the models, but if there's a great rule set in mind, it might be worth trying. Nope, 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 nope. The Old World. I have heard good things. I personally don't know. I will say this will do, but I've heard the Old World was a fun time and also the introduction to many a Warhammer fan today. Honestly, they still look kind of good. But again, you can tell from the boxes, the stands. So I'll say that the Codex Astartes, or this will do. Ooh, interesting. That's what it looked like. Moving on anyway. There is way more than I thought there was, and it's wild. This looks like another one, Legends of Sigum. I'm not even going to try and grab it. Here, Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm not a Marvel fan. I do not claim to be a Marvel fan. I only know of Spider-Man, and that's about it. But from the people that I've seen play Marvel Crisis Protocol, I have heard that it is fun. So, for me, I say that should go into This Will Do. I've also heard some back and forth about how some things might not be fun. But at the same time, I've heard good things. The tournaments I've seen play, people have generally been upbeat about it. And I see no reason why. I guess eventually I shouldn't just try it, even though I'm not a big Marvel fan. It's kind of like in a sense of Warhammer the Old World or a Song of Ice and Fire. Something to try, something to look forward to. No. Don't do that. Halo Ground Command. So, I did a bit of digging. It is a dead game. You cannot find miniatures for it anymore. It has since been debunked. There you can tell. But, wow. What an idea. It was Halo with Warhammer Old World bases, or just Conquest bases in general, with vehicles, separate units, regiments, and all that stuff. And I gotta say, well, that's just the 3D models. The models weren't that bad. I wish my computer was better at showing it, but the models themselves I don't think were terrible. Like, look, it's not the worst detail for a miniaturized Elite. It surprisingly looked okay. I could not find a rule set for the life of me, but these models looked super fun to build and or paint. And I can only assume they didn't get traction for it. It's just because, you know, not many Halo players play miniature games, 1. And 2, it probably came at a time that I'm assuming where everything felt a bit saturated and probably Games Workshop was probably still a golden child. When did this come around? Hold on. 2016. And I believe 2016 was 7th edition? I did see that. Mantic is doing a new Halo game, and I wonder if it's in this setup. But back then, Games Workshop was still up and around. In all intended purposes, I'm really curious about this. So I think, you know what, I'm gonna put in another tier. Hold on. If I can make another tier. I don't think I can. Damn it. Can't. Alright, so for now, I'm honestly going to put this into this will do. I'm super curious about it. I feel like it'd be interesting to try, see if I could find models for it. Or even then, Tabletop Simulator is a wonderful engine. Same thing for Fleet Battles. They did another one, Fleet Battles, to where it's the same thing, but this time it's with the giant ships. Whew, so many options to not look at. Blood Bowl. I'm honestly gonna say I've played better. I don't see anyone playing it. Even the interest for it, I think, is sort of just between there. But again, not a big football fan. Board does look interesting. But in all honesty, from the little digging I did, I'd say I'd played better. Again, probably not for me. I'm sure a lot of other people I think I've watched say that they super enjoy Blood Bowl, especially its video game counterpart. Bushido. So you want to be a ninja? I have not played Bushido personally, but from the things I have seen, they look like fun. I will absolutely put that into a this will do. And maybe my opinion will change a bit over time, but for all intended purposes, feudal Japan miniatures in a war game setting, yeah, I could fuck with that. That sounds really cool. If I could find a knight version that isn't like fantasy related, I think that'd be really cool. Again, that's probably just an older game, but the models look really cool, and I think games of that would be pretty nice to play. Oh, baby Battletech. I saw you from a mile away. Come on up here. I cannot stress how funny it is to play Battletech. I guarantee all you need is 4 models. 4 models. They come pre-prepped. All you need to do is prime them and paint them to your heart's content. You have downloadable rules and play sheets that work like D&D sheets. And the game absolutely makes no sense. It is the epitome in wargaming, in my opinion, of a 50-50 coin flip. Either you do something, you do nothing, or whatever you did has horrible consequences. I think it's super fun to play. It's really funny when someone just explodes turn 1. I gotta say, Battletech has always been a fun time, regardless of what's happening. I don't think I've ever, in the short time I've played it, I don't think I've had a single bad Battletech game that I've been a part of, and you can grab as many people as you want. I think at the time we had a 4v4 of just each person having 1 model on the board, or maybe 1 or 2 people having 2 models on the board. Super fun. Completely recommend it. Is heavy gear what I think it is? I think it is, right? It is. This would also be in a this will do, because I really dig their models. It's like a miniature Battletech, but I think it operates in the same sense as Battletech with just separate Gundam suits. And they're not super tall, super big. And it's kind of just all-out Tau warfare. I think that would be definitely interesting to try out. Alpha Strike, go away. That's the stuff of heresy. Just play normal Battletech. I haven't even looked at Alpha Strike. Alpha Strike looks a little bit weird besides like the lore they give. Just play normal Battletech. Oh, there it is, Titanicus. Now, I think this has changed into Imperialis, but from what I have heard, it is very fun. Just having the large mechs and giant knights everywhere that don't involve you paying like over $160 for the singular gigantic knight piece. I think has just evolved into Imperialis, where it's just swaths of vehicles and the very, very tiny... Hold on. Imperialis. There we go. So it's basically Warhammer, but miniaturized, like to the extreme. Like if I could show a close-up of these boys. Look at this. And police. There we go. There we go. Look at these boys. They're as barely any detail for any of them. There's like no inseam stuff, like some that you really can't see, but it's like standard pads, shoulder guards, tiny little openings for the eyes, simply colored swords, simple banners. Yeah, that's why I think to say like Titanicus Imperialis and are kind of the same thing, because you can feel Titanicus into Imperialis, which is why I kind of lump them together. Because like as you can see, it's literally just Titanicus models half the time with your warhounds and such, and you just include like the tanks and the marines. And Titanicus is kind of just the big brother version of it. There, where it's literally just the knights. It's the knights, the warhounds, the war dogs, including the giant church knight as well. And also that thing. Oh my. I didn't know that was a thing. I really shouldn't, but I do lump them together because it's the same pieces. I wonder if Imperialis is down here somewhere. I'll probably just grab it eventually. Fire team. I'm gonna bring both of these up. Just because I think I know exactly where they belong. I know next to nothing about this. Bladeborn is probably a myth in the making, but not myth history in the making. Oh, he just lost it. Whatever. Moving on. Oh, we're actually coming down to the wire. Underworlds. Ooh, too far. You would do that. Underworlds, I have heard stuff. I don't know if it's good or not. I completely lost it. Why? Why do you do this to me? I don't see it. Such sadness. Underworlds, again, I've heard wonderful stuff, kind of like Necromunda. I've heard stuff, but I've never actually seen it. If I had to put it anywhere, probably I've played better, considering, like, I don't see enough of it, or have heard enough of it, but I have heard of it. No. And I think that's about all of the pieces that I've actually encountered. Other than that, the rest of these games, I could easily say I've never played, nor have I heard of them. That looks like the simple list I could say. It's a pretty, I'd say pretty fair. A lot of these are I haven't played or want to play. But again, these, you know, just kind of avoid it. Warhammer has a lot of spin-offs that I think you can easily avoid. Ones you can honestly partake in are obviously Kill Team, Blood Bowl. But other than that, the ones that I think are good Warhammer in terms of pace are Sigmar, Heresy. I would say Old World above 40k, honestly. Actually, right there. I think that'd be a perfect place for 40k. Definitely Old World over 40k, just because it looks like a more fleshed out position. Other than that, yeah, I think this list has about all the stuff I would care to put on it. Oh yeah, here you go. That can also go in there. Do I dare share this? I'll see about it. Look at these names, and I'll Google something. What is the Star Wars miniatures?
Oh no. Oh no. That's terrible. That had to have been like a first draft. Oh, there it is.
See a close-up of that. That looks... I wish I could zoom in. Please let me zoom in. I think that's as good as I'm gonna get it. That looks wild to me. That... Woo! You can understand why a couple of these went dead, huh? That's really an eye-opener. That's another fun one we can look at for something.